My name is Brooke Plack, and I am your co-host. Hey, today on the Grit Crusade podcast, where we get real in the trenches of life, relationships, and business with David Roberts.
Yeah.
Yay.
First time you've had to say co-host, right?
I know,
Yeah.
right? I know, because I did like a hilariously laughing first episode one, and then you did the last one where you were like frozen in time, Brooke. And so this one I actually did a real introduction. So David and I are on episode 3 of a mini series. So this is my first time I had a guest back was you.
Yeah,
so that was cool. And so David and I have been talking about balance.
We have.
Yeah. Did you like practice balancing?
I did balance.
Yeah. Yep. Well, you didn't wear the leotard again.
I did not wear the leotard.
Yeah, and it's the Christmas episode.
I know.
Woo! Candy
Merry
cane.
Christmas.
Yay.
Yeah. That's awesome.
How about that? I got my red shirt on.
Yep.
I'm like festive, snowflake ring. So this episode will be dropping the week of Christmas, which is kind of crazy to think. Because like as we're recording, it's like 90 degrees outside.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it may be then.
You never know. No. I remember like distinctly like last year or the year before, I had crewed this like very embarrassing old fashioned Christmas sweater that you only get to like make your kids wear when they're tiny because they can't argue yet. Or they guess, I mean, they don't,
can.
And
they
can, but they don't really care what you put on them. Just put on them and let them go play. And it was like t-shirt weather. And I was oh.
Well, you plan barbecues and picnics and outings, and then it's like, nope.
Here we go.
Hot.
There's the weather.
Right.
So yeah. All right. So today we're going to talk about balance and finances.
Perfect.
Yes. And so before the podcast, we were kind of talking about banking.
We were.
So you want to keep talking about that?
We can.
Or not?
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Yeah. So, okay, let's talk about this concept first. So something that I shared with you is for the first almost 10 years in business now, self-employed small business. And for probably the first 7 or 8 years, I managed my business finances like my personal finances.
Correct.
And so for people that are watching, that are thinking about going into business, are in business for themselves, or maybe even running like a little side hustle on Etsy or something like that, business finance is totally different.
Totally different.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that there's nothing wrong with doing that. I think that's probably, in fact, what most people do is you operate your business just like you do your household, in that as long as there's more money coming in monthly than is going out monthly, you perceive that as successful.
Right.
And in a lot of ways, for the first year or two, it probably is successful. Right.
And that's all you're trying to do is not have to invest more capital.
Stay afloat. Yeah.
Yep.
And so you have a couple of different sides of that coin. Like if you budgeted a certain amount of money, let's say $100,000, and said, this is what I'm willing to invest to see if this thing kicks off.
Right.
You're never investing anymore. And so as long as you never meet that threshold, you're okay. And then eventually you hope it turns and starts going to the positive side and you have more than 100,000. For a lot of people, they don't budget that on the front end. And so they start not knowing how much it's going to take and don't have really a measuring stick, floor or ceiling. And so it can just kind of get away from you.
So I did that with my childcare business. So year one, I just was like, let me just start writing checks out of my other business.
Right.
And by the end of that year, it was $86,000 that I'd written out of one business to another business. Now, eventually, thankfully, the note payable got paid off from the childcare business back because we did keep track of it with accounting. But then opening my co-working space, we started with a $50,000 cash injection and then needed another like $2,500. And I think that's it. So it was like a pretty good estimate,
awesome.
you know? And then we turned a profit, you know, 8 months in. So tiny little profit.
Yeah.
It's not, but it's
profit.
there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put any more money there. So I got better at it, but it's still, I think for me, and you can probably talk about this in building your businesses and growing them, is for a long time, I was scared to death of a low bank account balance.
Well, of course. Yeah. That's back to the personal feeling.
Yes.
Mentally, there's an emotional connection with in your personal life.
Money and value.
Yes, absolutely. If I don't let my account get below $5,000 in my personal life.
I'm good.
So when I start a business, if it goes below 5,000, because that's mentally how I'm ingrained in managing my finance, if it goes below that, that's not good. But in fact, in business, a lot of times debt is okay. And in fact, a good thing, because a lot of times that's what you're using. The debt is what you're using to fund future growth, which in turn makes you more money. But we're just so socially taught it's forever indoctrinized that you just don't want debt. Debt is bad.
Yep.
But the most wealthy people in the world use debt to their advantage. And so I would say it's you putting yourself in the right position with the financial institution and forming a good relationship, not only with a bank, but with a banker, which is
key.
Those are some of the things I always say to my clients is I ask them questions like, I don't care where you bank, but who is your banker? Yeah. And if they can't answer that question, then I know they're probably not partnered with the correct institution
Right.
and doing good business with a person that's helping them and cares about their business being
I have a
successful.
girlfriend that has a small business that's very successful, and she banks with Chase.
Yeah.
And always has banked with
Yeah.
Chase. No, I'm not talking about the credit card. I use
Right.
Chase credit
Yep.
cards. I got 50 of them throughout the companies,
Right.
right? All the employees have got one. I love my points. I
Yeah.
love all that stuff. But that's her bank. Like her business loan came from Chase.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm like, what? Because I've been fortunate enough in our community to establish a relationship with a great banker.
Right.
And that's been game changer because they understand my business model. They trust me. Sometimes I think they trust me a little too much.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you really think I can do this?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we know you can.
Because they're measuring it not from an emotional standpoint,
Right.
but from a financial standpoint on paper.
And I'm
right.
measuring it from my, can I really do
Right.
this?
Yeah, well, it's scary.
Yeah,
but
it
that's
is.
what you want. And they know that about you, I'm sure, because
Yeah.
they know you. And so they
Yeah.
feel more comfortable. Yeah.
And then, but like, you're, and I'm not saying anything negative about like Dave Ramsey's method,
Yeah.
but it's very highly publicized in the personal finance world.
Yeah.
Is like you said, no debt.
Absolutely.
And in the business world, like that's not it.
No, somebody told me one time, and people could argue this because I think everybody goes a different direction, just like with most things. Dave Ramsey does great, and he's obviously been very successful and has built a lot of personal wealth on his own and built a great business. But somebody told me one time that Dave Ramsey, that methodology, not him personally, but that methodology is great financially to get you from -10 to 0. But he doesn't really talk about how to go from 0 to +10.
Yeah, like the wealth management piece
and
of
so
it.
that really resonated with me because I too, at some point in my life, did the envelope system and like tried all those things because you read books and you hear things and try different things
And if
that
you
you're
are
trying
at
to learn.
-10,
It's the most wonderful thing in the world.
Then you get to 0, you've done it.
You've done,
and
done
I've been in debt twice in probably the last decade. I call it debt. So a lot of people probably wouldn't say it was like major debt, but I had in 2015, I was still a school teacher running the businesses, and I had heart surgery in January and shoulder surgery in July and ended up with like $18,000 in medical bills. And so I'm like, all right, debt snowball, here we come. Like, we're going to just start paying these medical bills off because I'm not going to just write checks out, right? And so, and then again, when my son came home from the NICU, another $18,000 because we became a family plan.
Right.
We become 2 patients at
That's
the end of a year with insurance and all that. And so those methods have served me well.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about somebody that's looking to like grow their business and do those kinds of things, like how do they make that mental switch from, okay, debt free is over. I've now signed myself up for a world of debt. Like, how do you mentally balance that?
Well, I think it goes to building a good team around you. So from an accounting standpoint, having somebody around you that truly understands business finance, either in-house or outsourced, that can help you understand what all those numbers mean. Because just like with any specialty in business, a lot of acronyms, a lot of words that you don't use in normal talk. So getting somebody that can help you understand that, having a wealth advisor or wealth management person that can help you manage that growth as it grows, and then establishing a good banking contact that understands what that looks like. Because just like in your business with your banker, he has other people that are in similar, maybe not exactly, but in similar situations, in similar business types. So they see a whole lot more of that than the individual does.
Yeah.
And so they can tell you, no, your stuff looks great. You're doing a great job. Here's some things I see other people doing
that are working or not working or whatever.
Yep. They just have a wealth of knowledge that.
So what is a wealth management person? Because I feel like for people that are listening that are just regular people working, that term is really scary. Like, because they don't, I mean, what would I need a wealth management person for? I have $10,000 in the bank.
Right. And I think that's probably the biggest what's the word I'm looking for?
Misnomer.
I started to say that and then I thought maybe it didn't fit.
I think it fits.
I think it fits.
Misnomer. Nomer sure has to be named.
Nomer.
What does nomer mean? I don't know. Here we are. Misnomer.
That's
would it be
not what I was
Mr.
thinking.
Nomer?
No, I was like that.
Misconception?
Misconception. Thank
there
you.
It is.
Nomer conception.
We got there.
It's the misnomer conception. The biggest misnomer conception is that you have to be wealthy to have a financial advisor or wealth management person.
Is that the same thing? A financial advisor and a wealth management person?
Yes, I think so. I mean, I think there are probably people that specialize in certain things. In fact, I know there are. But yes, overall, I think financial advising, wealth management is very similar.
Okay.
And they work with individuals and or businesses and can help with things like insurance and those kind of things as well. Life insurance, key man insurance in business, kind of things, again, that you never think about until you go into business. But I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions. In fact, I know it is that I have to be wealthy to have that person, when in fact, that person should be the one helping you build your wealth.
Because I think I'm just now to that point, like in the, relative amount of success that we've had with our companies.
Right.
Like I've always been like a max out your IRA, max out your match, max out all the things, have a decent amount of cash. And then it's kind of like, okay, so I know where I'm going.
Right.
But now I don't really know where to invest this kind of money.
How do I get there? I know where I'm going, but how do I get there?
Yeah. And how do you know if an investment's a good investment?
Right.
How do you, and that's scary for people.
Absolutely
because,
it is.
You hopefully in your life, you can get to a point where you are not, and, you and I talked about this off camera when we were filming previously, like we live cheap.
Yes.
Like we are both cheap livers,
Right.
if that makes sense. So for people so many people in this, I'm overgeneralizing, I know, but it's a big frustration of mine of I'm always broke. Do you have 2 car payments and a house you can't afford?
Right.
That's probably why. That's
Yeah.
why. So let's start talking about that first,
Right.
So I feel like people have and make more money than sometimes they realize they get and give themselves credit for.
Yeah.
And it depends on what you like. Are you buying coffee every morning? Or are you
Yeah, because
going
that's
through
$9.
there it is. All right, times 365.
That's right.
All right, there's $3,000. There's
Put that
$3,000 that
together.
could have been in an investment
That's
to
right.
grow. So I live cheaply, and mine is also too, I think, out of like a protection thing. It was like something I always prided myself on. Like, yes, I make money for my companies, but I could kind of not.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
so then it's like when things get hard, or you have a company that's struggling or something like that, because I own, multiple companies, it's not, my whole life is not crushing.
Right.
Because I really don't need all that money.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah,
that make sense?
I think some of that's upbringing. I think some of that's a personality trait.
Yeah.
But then I also think when you, for the first time, start organically a business
Yeah.
and are trying to grow it, for the first few years, you constantly feel like you're going broke.
Yes.
And so it retrains your mind a little bit to
and
be
when you're
more
growing, like
Right.
I'm in a growth phase right
That's
now,
right.
opening a new multi-million-dollar
That's right.
facility, I still feel broke.
Well, and it's because you're using your capital
To
fund something
else.
that's going to end up making you more capital,
Yes.
which is the premise of wealth management and investing. If you think about it, you're just investing in yourself.
Right. Yeah. I
Right.
think I'm the best bet. Like I've
Well,
got the best.
and there's no doubt.
That's
Everybody should bet on themselves more than anybody else.
100%.
Right.
And so the other thing that we had talked about before we got on camera was, and my husband is like a big TikToker, not as a content
TikTok poster?
No.
Yeah. Or
Not
misnomer.
Misnomer.
Yeah.
Misnomer. Not as a creator, but as a
Watcher, receiver.
Whatever. Yeah. TikTok user. I don't know. That sounds like a drug user. But anyway, and he's very cool. Like I'm not the cool one. I'm
Right.
the practical one in the family, but he's very cool and all this. But
Trendy.
he's trendy, the sneaks, cute,
Oh, yeah.
haircuts, and all the things. Yeah. So, and I'm over here like Mrs. Practical with the plan and
Right.
and finances and all the things. So, and we were talking about this jointly because I've researched this a lot, and he's been seeing it on TikTok all the time about what a misconcept we have about money, as a society. Like you were talking about earlier, that emotional tie to it. Like money is a tool.
It's a tool. Yep.
And so he said he saw this video, and I if I find it, I'll link it in the show notes. If I don't link in the show notes, then I didn't find it.
Yeah.
So there it is. But it was like somebody made $1. It's like teaching your kids about money or anybody about money.
Yep.
They made $1. Okay. And now you take, and like say it was all pennies laid out there. And then you take the amount that they have to pay in taxes on it away. Okay. And the amount the employer had to, start over. The employer had to pay taxes on it.
Right.
They had to pay taxes on it. Then if they take it and spend it, coffee, wherever, somewhere with sales tax, take
Another
the
tax.
sales tax
Right.
off of it. And then if somebody inherits it from someone else,
That's right.
the inheritance tax. And so really you're left with like nothing.
Right.
And
you owe money.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel every year.
Right.
And so really and truly, money is not actually a thing. It's actually a
Right.
tool.
Yeah, I know the
the
concept
concept.
you're talking
Yeah.
about where money is really of no value monetarily.
Right.
It's of value because it's a tool in society that is used to procure things.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think once you start internalizing that, it helps to remove the emotional tie. Like when I said earlier, when I said, well, I really don't need all that money, it's like, none of us really need all that
Right.
money. It's not just me. It's like
That's
an
right.
us thing. Like we don't actually need all that money sitting in our bank. Now, I am kind of a go-getter and I do love new ventures and
Sure.
new opportunities. And so I use that money to do those
Right.
things. Some people use that money because they're gamers and they probably make more money than both
Right.
of us
Oh,
because
guaranteed.
that's a big
Guaranteed.
industry,
Yep.
And so it's breaking that emotional tie that I'm worth my bank account,
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and if you think about it, rewind the clock a little bit and just remove yourself from practical investment knowledge that you have now. If you start working and want to measure your success in the money you make, the biggest thing you can pay off as an individual in your life is your home.
Yeah.
And so when you get enough money, have worked, and either get it all at one time or save enough to do that,
Yep.
if you talk to wealth management people or financial advising people, they would say if emotionally it makes you sleep better at night to pay it off, pay it off. But financially, probably not the move.
Yeah.
Especially rewind the clock 5 years ago, if the interest rates are 3%,
that's what we did.
Right.
We did, I think it was the end of 21 or beginning of 22. It was like 3%.
Right. And so
we
if you got $300,000 and could pay it off, you can make more than 3% annually on your money. Right. And so for every penny over that you make, that's money you would not have had because you would have paid off the house and then it's done.
It's gone forever.
Right. And so that's ties to the emotional
But I guess
piece.
somebody could argue that the house appreciates in value, blah, blah, blah.
No, it does.
Yeah,
absolutely does.
There's kind of like that too.
It does.
But I do see what you mean about like people, is it that emotionally important to you to have your house paid off?
Because that's really what it boils down to, because you have the money regardless.
Like I have a property coming up for owner finance property, right? And so it's coming up due. So the person that's been buying, like buyer, I guess, not really a renter, they're a buyer if it's owner financing, can decide to buy it outright.
Lease to own.
Right. Yeah. Lease to own. There it is. And so when the property comes up, then you have the money.
Right.
And so then you go, okay, do you pay your house off? And right now the answer is no.
Right.
Absolutely not, because you can earn so much more on your money.
That's right.
You know, so it's very interesting, like the things that I've learned along the way. And so all right, let's do trivia in the trenches.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Okay.
And then I have a question. I have like a couple questions that I want to see if you got some advice for people.
Do you have the trivia?
I've got the trivia.
Okay,
wow,
I've got
are you
the
gonna
next trivia. No, I got next trivia.
You got one?
I got next trivia.
You didn't even need to write it down.
I got next trivia.
You like got it in your brain?
I got it in my head.
Is it Hawaiian again?
Nope, misnomer.
What? Did you look it up? Did you look it up before we recorded?
I can't tell you. No hints. There are no hints.
No hints.
Yeah.
Well, see, I have two, and so now I just pick one. Okay, I'm gonna pick the hard one. Are you ready?
Hard? I don't think I've gotten any of them right.
I know, that's the best part.
Yeah.
I have this like secret like ha ha ha
Right.
inside of me whenever I do trivia and I stump
I'm
people.
gonna get them. I'm gonna get them.
Yeah, I am. I know. And people get it right, and I'm like, this is not I know. Okay, so if this is your first time watching on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you're streaming your podcast from, Trivia in the Trenches is a fun segment that we do where I try to stump our guest, or in this case, co-host. Yep, co-host. Or just you, the audience, and I try not to give you enough time to Google it. So
she
here we go.
hasn't had any trouble stumping me to this point.
Here we go. Okay, pay attention to what I'm saying.
I got it.
Ready? What are you frightened of if you are electrophobic?
I mean,
electrophobic.
Did you Google the pronunciation?
Okay, let's try it again. Electrophobic.
There we go. So electricity?
No, that's electrophobia. This is electorphobia.
Voting? Like electoral college?
I'll tell you how it's which might be stupid anyway, right? I used to teach fifth grade social studies, so there's that. Okay, I'm going to spell it.
Okay.
A-L-E-K, like Alec.
Quebec.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
T-O-R-O phobic. Electrophobic. Or
Torsos.
No.
Torsos.
Chickens.
Chickens.
Who's scared
of electricity, torsos, and voting? Yeah, that's why it's a misnomer.
Electoral college, chickens and chickens. So who knew that they were scared of chickens? I saw that one and I was like, "There's no reason." Hey, I got a chicken joke that my son tells. Are you ready for it? He tells us all the time, and like
this is his joke.
This is his go-to.
Like,
hey, I got a joke to tell you. Like, you just random person he meets. All right. Why did the chicken cross the road?
Don't know.
Because.
Oh wow.
And we have no idea where he learned this joke.
That's actually
a good one. We still don't know where. It is a good one.
Yeah.
And he thinks it's the funniest thing ever.
Because you would default to get to the other side. All that. Right. That's pretty good.
Or he'll say he didn't. He thinks that's really funny too.
He just stops it there.
He just says he didn't.
That's it.
Like he's like, why did chicken cross the road? He didn't. And that's it.
That's pretty good.
Yep. So there's his 5-year-old sense of humor.
That's pretty funny.
All right. So let's go back to our topic, talking about balance and finances today. Okay. So we've talked a little bit about investing, kind of what happens on the end of, now I've got some money, what do I do with it?
Right.
All right. What about people that are watching that are, just trying to break even? How do they get from that break even point of life to moving ahead in life?
Yeah. So I think that's the best spot to reach out to a local financial advisor.
Yeah.
Especially personally, a financial advisor or wealth management firm, and do things like contributing to an IRA if your business doesn't have a 401k. If they do have a 401k, contributing as much as you can to your 401k and getting the match money, putting stuff in savings plans, doing gift 529 plans for college, all of those things. There's just so many tools out there, so many more than even I know.
Yeah.
Where you can make money and earn money on your money,
Right.
or it just kind of gets socked away, for lack of better words.
My sister, she works for a daycare, corporate daycare firm, and she recently switched positions. And she called me, and this was like a big ordeal because I couldn't even figure it out myself. They have a 401k or an IRA.
Yep.
What does it matter?
Yeah, well, I think it gives you two places you can contribute. So in a 401k, you could potentially max it out.
Right.
And in an IRA, then you have another avenue
to max
of money
it out.
that
But
you
if
could
somebody
put
was
money
picking
in.
one or the other, it doesn't really matter, does it? As much?
No, I think there are rules
on the
associated
total amount you can put in there.
and rules associated with pulling it out
Oh,
and how that works and what the penalties are and all those
Yeah,
things.
so I'm like over here like Googling it and looking on like
Right.
Investopedia and trying to help her because we offer IRAs because we're not of a company size that does 401ks. And so for regular people that are just now trying to think about their future, and sometimes that means they're in their teens and 20s, and sometimes it means they're in their 50s or 60s. So like a big chain would be like Edward Jones.
Absolutely.
That's who your wife, Caitlin.
She does.
King, is she King or is she
King Roberts?
King professionally.
Well, yes. Now, the name change because she has to file with the SEC again because she's a financial or fiduciary and has financial responsibility. It was just, and we already had a trip plan with a passport, all of those things. So she will change it. I hope.
Yeah.
She changed.
So she's going to become Roberts.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think she's going to use King as her middle name.
Yeah.
Caitlin King Roberts.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. So anyway, so she's an advisor here in town.
Caitlin King.
But Edward Jones in general, for people that are like, I don't know where to start.
That's right. Great spot.
They clearly need to sponsor this podcast.
That's right.
Just saying,
that needs
we'll
to be talk to her.
Yeah, that needs to be a sponsored post. Yeah, you know. So that's a great place to start. Somebody could pick up the phone and just call a local Edward Jones person. Are there any other like big chains like that?
Well, of course, Raymond James.
Okay, Raymond James.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's right. Justin's aunt, Tammy East, she works at Raymond James. Yep.
Yeah, so there are quite a few
brands.
Yeah,
there are quite a few big brands. Sometimes you say like reach out to a personal advisor, and people don't know where to start.
That's right. Yeah, and they again, the tools are endless. You know that people like you and I that might scratch the surface on investing. They just have such a wealth of knowledge. No pun intended with the wealth, but they just have so many tools that they can use
that they've learned,
to help you, and help you along the way, and have so many resources behind the scenes to help ensure that whatever they put together for you, the plan is tailored and customized to what your needs are and the goals for the future. And they can show you that roadmap of this is where you're starting, this is where the end point is, and in the middle, this is how we're going to get there.
So how do you figure out, since we're kind of talking about balance in this whole little mini series, how do you figure?
And you want your balance to grow. That's the whole cha-ching. Yeah, see what I did? Yeah.
I like that.
That's
that was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So say you're investing in your IRA and stocks or whatever you're doing, right? Or maybe you're just getting started.
Right.
And so or maybe you're going to start your own business.
Right.
How do you decide how much to invest? Like percentage wise, we're talking percentage here, right? Like let's say, for example, someone has $100,000 in the bank.
Right.
That'd be like big goals for most people.
Right.
Okay. They have $100,000, like for 99% of the population.
Yeah. Huge.
Literally.
Yeah.
$100,000 in the bank. Do I put 50 in an investment opportunity, or do I put all of it?
Right.
Oh.
So I think every situation and every person would be different.
That's what I think too. Yeah.
But I think you go back to simple methods of having a reserve. So I know that my bills to live cost this much.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to set aside 6 months of that.
Yeah.
So that I know that I'm taken care of if something were to go awry.
Yeah. Yep.
Because investing, it's up and down.
Yeah.
You know, it's not all roses. There's got to be some pain associated with that. So you're going to feel that a little bit, which we all just experienced through the pandemic. And I mean, it was kind of a roller coaster, and then a lot of
everyone's retirement accounts
went down initially, and then
if you made the right opportunities,
it grew, and then now it's kind of settled again. But year over year, historically speaking, the financial markets have done very well.
Yep.
So again, I think each spot is different, but I think there's less of that, probably like people having a chunk of money, like $100,000, and more about now I'm to a point where I have an extra $3,000 a month that I'm not utilizing. So instead of setting that in a bank account
or spending it on Amazon
or on fast food or at the coffee shop or just wasting it on things that depreciate like cars and toys.
Yeah.
Let's put this money to work. And at $3,000 a month, I think people could help you develop a roadmap and say, So I think as a general rule, and this could be completely incorrect, so somebody reach out and
because
say
clearly
that.
we're not experts.
Yeah,
we're just,
no,
we're
we're
just
not. Yeah.
we're just
Right,
laugh
we're just
advice
talking.
people.
That's
we're
right.
laugh advice people.
But I think
we're
somebody
podcasters. It must
that's
be
it.
true.
That's right. It is true. Yeah, this is going to be on the internet. It's
Yeah,
true.
it's true.
I think somebody told me one time that the ultimate goal is to save 20% of your gross income.
Yeah, I've
So
heard
if you
that.
make $100,000, you want to save 20,000
a year.
But everything that you save in 401k, IRA, whatever, that all counts toward.
Oh,
It's not just like savings account
got
20,000.
it.
So 20,000 is the goal of your
Okay.
gross. Now, when you think about that in terms of all the taxes you're going to pay on
Yeah.
100,000, you pay 30%, it's down to 70, but you should still contribute 20,000 because
Yep.
it's your gross.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure and manage
Like
that number.
gross after taxes.
No,
Gross
gross
before
taxes.
So it would be 20%. Why was
Yeah.
I thinking 30%? So like I am like a balanced financer in that way. So I save a little more than that.
Yep.
But I also live cheap. So
Right.
and I'm like very transparent about that. We bought a house that was really inexpensive. We redid it, and so we
Did
lived
a lot
cheap.
of work yourself.
Yeah. Oh God.
Right.
Still doing
it.
Still
Right.
doing
Yep.
floors
You
myself.
talked about that
I got my
yesterday.
knee pads
Yeah, right.
and I got my little glasses and sander. And
That's
my
pretty
dad
funny.
turned me on to this new sander that has a vacuum attached to it.
So there's
like,
not as much dust.
Yeah, but not like one from Harbor Freight. Like it looks
Right.
like a printer, like a commercial printer. Like it's big. The vacuum and
Oh,
then
wow.
the sander. Yeah, no, I haven't used it yet. I got it out in the garage, but that's like holidays or like a slower time frame
Yeah.
for me. And so that's
It's
project.
coming.
That's holiday
It's
project.
coming.
Yep, that's it. So, but I'm also very philanthropic. So I give away 15% of
Right.
my income
Wow.
every
Good for you.
year.
Yeah.
That's just what I do. So between like church giving
Yep.
and organizations, our nonprofit,
Yep.
and I have a really big passion for big cats.
Really?
And so, like, I'm a supporter of Turpentine Creek
Yep.
Wildlife Refuge in Northwest Arkansas, and they rescue these cats from that, like, were in private care or roadside zoos.
Wow.
PSA right here. You should not be able to go somewhere and pet a cat. You should not be able to touch a big cat, like a lion, a tiger, a jaguar, any of that. You should not buy a big cat. It's actually illegal now.
Wow.
If you do have one, they have to be registered. For years, they've been working and lobbying to get the Big Cat Rescue Act passed, and it's now passed.
Wow.
Doesn't protect small cats like servals and things like that.
Yeah.
But I'm like a dedicated Turpentine Creek girl.
Wow.
And so for me, when you talk about balanced finances, I think it's important because somebody else is like you're like big cats. Like I'm not giving money to big cats.
Yeah.
But like what's important to you is also important. You know.
Oh, absolutely.
Somebody's
Yeah.
big into helping youth get involved in the arts. You know,
Yeah,
they may be
absolutely.
donating to like we have the Royal Players.
Yep.
Is that what it's called?
Yep.
Royal Players
Mhm.
at the Royal Theater, which is a historic theater here in town. And so, looking at your financial picture, I look at, okay, here's 100%.
Yep.
I've got 85% to do this with. Well, because 15's going to
Right.
giving because that's what I want to do personally.
Yeah.
And then 20% is going to savings.
Right.
And so when you can start looking at it
right.
that way, I feel like I don't know, it starts to free you up
Yeah.
from,
Yeah.
like, I don't have many decisions to make because I already know where almost half my money's
That's
going.
right.
Now, the other half I can spend and we travel.
Right.
What we like to do. So,
Yeah. You pay your bills and you do the things you want to
Yeah.
do. You save some, and
Yeah.
then whatever's left you use to
So,
travel.
how do you structure? So, are you and Caitlin have joint finances or no?
No.
Yeah, me and Justin either.
Individual.
So, we're individual.
Yep.
And so, we both have been married before. Has Caitlin's not been married
No.
before? Okay, she'd never been married before. You'd been married before.
Yep.
We'd been married before. And just Google the number one cause of divorce.
Finances. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then, that
Yeah.
we were like, yeah, this is not for us, So we just divide up living expenses
Yeah.
and do some things like that. So, when you're planning your finances, do you plan them out like annually?
Yeah. So I do
Do you kinda
operate a
like-
budget.
Do you kind of like look at, okay, this is what I think I'm going to do this
Yeah.
next year?
I do. And so same, not necessarily to that percentage or not even really measured in a percentage, but philanthropic, whether in the community or
Is that kind
certain
of like
things.
a for you, like as you go, or
Yeah.
is it something you plan ahead?
No.
See, I plan it all ahead.
Yep.
And I'm like very comfortable saying like, I'm sorry, my funds are already committed.
Right. See, so yeah, no,
Like
I'm
you
not.
better come
I
to
need-
me.
yeah.
You need to come to me on the front end.
I need a little more of that in my life.
Yeah.
No, I'm more
Yeah.
of a fly by the seat of my
Yep.
pants when it comes to those things.
Yep.
Yeah. If it's
Yep.
something that scratches me right, I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you got me.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I will say I'm a little like that. Too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can
Well,
definitely.
because things come up, like
Yeah.
you would never.
Well, $100 here, $500 there. I'm good for that.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
But like if it's like, a big give,
right. Yeah.
then
Yeah.
I need to plan ahead. It's a big bill. Let's talk about bills there.
Uh-oh.
This is the thing, is that vendors, contractors, anybody you do business with, from the utility company or just whoever,
Yep.
they think they just can send you a big bill that they haven't told you about and they want to
Right.
pay today.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sorry, I only write checks on Fridays.
Do you really?
No, I mean, I would
But you
though.
wanted to.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wanted to. Yeah. Yeah. I don't write the checks. So, but
Right.
if I did, If I did,
That's
if
what
I
I would
did,
tell
that would
them.
be on
That's
Friday.
what I would tell them.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, you got to be respectful of people. So
Right.
that goes back to cash flow and business finance and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. So then, like when you're talking about savings,
Mhm.
you're in a point in your life where you're spending a lot of energy investing,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, because you sold a business,
Yep.
and which is like goals for business owners. A lot of people,
Yeah.
you know. I have made it no secret in my companies that I don't plan to own them forever.
Right.
Like that, and I would love to sell them to people that work in the companies.
Right.
That would be amazing for
Yep.
me. Like that would be a gift. I feel like I would be giving to
Yeah.
like people that love what we do. But so
But
then
they would be giving you a gift too, because they would carry on that
they
legacy
would
of
carry the
what you
legacy
built.
on
Yep.
all the systems, still be
Yep.
caring for our
Absolutely.
community. Because the last thing I want is there to be a hole there,
Right.
right? Which is what most people feel that way. But so I think I have dreams of being in like your seat where it's like, okay, now I have investments in real estate or whatever,
Yeah.
and then I'm coaching or speaking
Yeah.
or doing whatever. So now you're in the seat of like you now have the income you make solely plus investment income.
Yep.
So how do you decide what to invest in from there?
Yeah. So fortunately for me, in the position I'm in and with my business, I get a front side look at a lot of things that otherwise I probably wouldn't see.
Because you're helping blue collar workers.
Yeah. Business owners and
okay,
operators.
let me start over. Your company is called Blue Collar Consulting.
That's correct.
Because there's blue collar work in every business.
There is blue collar work in every
See
business.
that in episode 2
There,
of our mini
look
series.
at there.
See,
Yeah,
that was
you
good.
did great.
I did
yeah,
it. I did
that's
it.
right.
So your consulting firm, people that maybe haven't seen the other episodes,
Yeah.
your firm is helping business owners
Any business
systematize,
owner operate. About knocked on
Woo,
my candy cane. Can't do that.
Yeah, it'll show the cord on the
Right,
bottom. We
can't
don't want to
do
do
that.
that. Yeah, valuations, all kinds of
the
things
whole
like
deal.
that.
That's right.
And so you're getting to see.
Yep. And a lot of those businesses are looking for investors, either for capital, just hard capital
that's
loans,
scary,
or are looking for people that maybe could add value to their business in some way. And so a lot of times there are investment opportunities. And so if it's a good fit and I feel like I can truly add value, I don't typically invest in anything that I don't think I could add value to, or it's not something that's interesting to me. Right.
Yes.
But that's been a good opportunity for me to diversify what I'm doing and to continue to meet a lot of people and connect people.
And you also, I feel like, have a passion for like helping others learn what you learned along the way.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the key, just like with parenting or relationships or banking or finances, there are books, but there's really not a book that fits every situation.
No.
And so there's not anybody there to tell you. You learn it from making all the mistakes.
Right.
And that's what I tell people. It's not like I know any of the things that I know because I just am smart.
No,
That's
it's because we did it.
I fell on my face.
And we lost all that money, and we spent the wrong way, or we planned the wrong way, or we didn't plan.
I've done all that, was going broke the whole time, did all that myself. So I know what it takes once you overcome that. And looking back in retrospect, it would be easier now for me to start over and do those things because I made all the mistakes. So if I can help somebody else learn the 20 years of mistakes that I made, then it should help them propel their business at a more expedited rate.
But like, I know you and I have looked at business opportunities together, and then they don't, and then we decide that's not a plan.
Oh yeah, so
so there's a lot of time you spend looking at stuff that never comes to fruition.
No different than putting an advertisement out to hire somebody.
Yep.
You have to look at 100 to find one good one.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Absolutely. So there's no easy path.
Oh no, it wasn't. There's not. And we're a society. That's what I try to tell people too.
Yes.
We're a society that looks for the easy fix, but there's really not an easy fix. And if there is an easy fix, it's probably not the fix you want.
Okay, I'm going to talk about something that's probably going to be controversial. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
So my cool husband, TikToker user, TikTok user, has taught me recently about this term called hoflation. Do you know about this?
No.
Okay, so I'm totally.
But he's cooler than me.
He's cool.
I talked to him yesterday. Yeah, he's cooler than me.
So okay, so I don't know very much about this, and it's probably controversial, but it's a unique concept because you're talking about like easier money.
Right.
Okay. So, and I'm not calling
hoflation.
Yeah, I'm not calling anyone a hoe by saying that they're doing this. I'm just saying this is the term being used on TikTok.
The Ludacris song was just playing in my head.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But go ahead. Yeah, right.
Okay,
I wasn't going to sing it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So there are all of these, and in this scenario specifically, it's men talking about women. I think it could go both ways.
Yep.
All right, so we're going to use OnlyFans as an example.
Okay.
Because there is ludicrous money in OnlyFans, like crazy.
That's what I hear.
Ludicrous money.
Ludicrous.
Okay.
Wow. Yay. And you didn't even mean to do that. You didn't even mean to do that. Right.
Okay. And so there are all of these content creators on OnlyFans or other various platforms that have found tremendous success. And they are making lots of money, and they are maturing and coming to an age where you can't keep doing that forever.
Right.
Because, you know,
hope.
like your looks are going to fade.
Right.
That's just part of aging. And so now these women, in this conversation specifically that I'm talking about, because I think it could be men too, are looking for partners. They get to an age and now they want to look for a partner that's like matches them financially. That's like a 1%er.
Yep.
You know, and they're like, no, I don't want anybody that did that. Like, coflation. Yeah. And now there's this population of women that can't find partners.
Really?
And like, did you? And then the guys that are talking about this on TikTok are saying like, did you really think that people were going to want you after you put yourself out there like that?
Right. Huh.
Not that I'm shaming anybody.
Interesting.
Because I think you do you.
Yeah.
And I got no judgment. You know, there's, you know, and I've never been on OnlyFans, so I don't know even what the content is. I know that it was not designed to be adult.
I remember
content.
when there was like the lawsuit or the
and now there's a big deal because like if you Googled what are the top categories on OnlyFans, it's going to come up with 10. And adult is only one of the categories.
Oh wow!
Like there's health and fitness coaches on there. There's musicians. So
I
like
didn't know that.
It's direct access. It's direct consumer payments. There's a musician that wants to get paid for their work.
It's a subscription service.
It's a subscription service. People can subscribe directly to that musician through a big giant platform. And
but
now
are there really musicians on OnlyFans?
Yes.
Okay,
and
see, I had no idea.
People teaching fitness lessons, fitness classes, like all kinds of things that are not art. People like to watch people do art. And they're paying for it. So you can charge $4.99 a month. I've looked this up a little bit. All the way up to $44.99 a month. So if you're like Cardi B, you can charge $44 or it might be $47.99. Anyway, it's not $50. That's the most you can charge on OnlyFans per user per month.
Wow.
And so anyway, so so what I see is the bigger picture, right? So hoflation might be a term being used on TikTok, but the bigger thing is the evolution of ways to make money and how they don't last forever though.
100%.
It doesn't last forever. Nothing easier lasts forever. And I don't think that stuff's easy because I think content creation.
Well, there's a whole lot more that goes into it than what people
we're doing
realize.
It right now. Lights, camera, editing,
you gotta
all the
edit,
things.
the thing doesn't work. You got to call it.
So it's so gotta call a production company.
Got to do this.
Can't start.
The button's not all that. It's like what's going on? Yeah.
So it's just interesting, like the different ways you can make money,
right.
but none of it actually ends up being easy, and there are repercussions and ends to every line of
Interesting.
So when do you know to get out? Because basically what's happening is these women in this specific conversation, which I think can be men or whoever, is there's an end to that career. There's an end to
everything.
Yeah, right. So if you're an investor in a business, how do you know when to get out?
Yeah. So usually, if it's your own business, it's a little different scenario. But if you're investing for the purpose of investing, then I think you either sunset that with a timeline or with a certain amount of money earned back. And then you just move on down the road because you've helped them to a point where probably they either need additional help or maybe don't need you anymore.
Is that something you set up on the front end?
Yeah, try to. Yeah. Absolutely. Because again, you don't want to be attached to anything forever.
Yeah, if it's not your own.
Right, absolutely. If it's your own, that's a whole different scenario because that's more of a conversation where most businesses, I would say, start not with the intent to ever sell or monetize that business.
Oh, no, I never did.
And then at some point, either people talking or understanding or see somebody do it or whatever, and they start thinking, well, maybe that's an opportunity for me.
Yeah.
Or how do I legacy this and let it carry on? I just think you start having those conversations as the trajectory of your career changes over time.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think those are just active conversations. I think the difference is for you and I, there wasn't, or people our age, and I just dated you a little bit.
I'm 30. We're only 4 years apart.
5.
Yeah, I'm not 12 like you and
Not
Caitlin. Yeah. Oh, wait. 12's Drake and Caitlin. Yeah.
Drake and Caitlin.
Came up again. There it is.
But I think we didn't have the advantage or the informational overload of things like TikTok and social media
to learn these things.
Right.
Yeah, and these younger people have access to so much more knowledge.
They're the most well-prepared, informationally well-prepared
generation ever, all time. And I don't know, I think you were in a similar situation, but like I grew up, my dad worked for one company.
Right.
Had a, he was a W-2 employee, received a paycheck. Like that was our life. And my parents saved more than they spent.
Right.
And
which is where you get it from.
I guess. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so, if for people that weren't raised, I wasn't raised in a wealthy family.
Right.
My parents both had high school diplomas or GEDs. And so it's a lot to learn and to learn to manage. And then you have that sense of a little bit of guilt that you carry about the bad decisions you made because you're like, why did I think that was a good idea 5 years ago or whatever?
Right. But those are a lot of those lessons are valuable. You just don't realize it until you go through it.
Yeah.
But the reason I brought that up with the information is I had a guy talk to me yesterday, super smart guy, had no idea how old he was just talking to me about how can I get more involved? How can I do certain things? I see you meeting with a lot of people. I want to do that. How can I serve on boards? How can I invest in companies? And so as I was talking to him, I just thought to ask him, like, "Well, how old are you?" He's 24.
Oh
And
my
so I
God.
said,
If we
right,
had,
well,
no,
my brain didn't even work that way at 24. And that's what
no.
I told him. Like, you're thinking you have to catch 43-year-old David because you see me do it today, but you're so far ahead of where I was at
Yes,
that
I was
time.
trying to not drink too much so I
Right.
could go, so that my hangover would not be bad
Right.
enough that I'd have to call into work at
But
24.
he can't, just like I can't fathom being 24 already I mean, it's great that he is, and
Yeah,
I'm super
heck
proud
yeah.
of him for
Yeah.
that. But I can't fathom that. He also can't get in his mind that I wasn't like that or better than that
Or
at
haven't
24.
always been that way.
And that's it.
Yeah.
You're just seeing this. So one of the things somebody used to say that I was partners with is I worked for 40 years and then I was an overnight success.
Yeah.
And that's the truth.
It
I mean,
is.
people see the end result.
They do.
They never see the going broke, the late
Yep.
nights. I mean, y'all are working all weekend
Yeah,
to do
absolutely.
right, to do certain things and get your new building up and running.
Yeah.
People never see those things. They only see the finished product. Like, oh yeah, Brooke paid for this building and now it's just beautiful and it's here. They don't
It's like
know that
I was a broke school teacher.
well, and they don't know that you had rain delays and had to extend loans and had
Yes.
to, you're moving everything in yourself and you're building equipment and you're coordinating this and the
Yes.
floor is too short and you're moving the floor. They don't know. I mean, you
Yes.
think about how much
It's so
people have no
true.
idea.
It's so true. And then our toilet paper's still sitting in the sink.
That's right. And when it gets put on the roll, it'll be you that puts it on the roll.
Absolutely.
Right. And
Yes.
they don't know that.
Yeah.
Right. And when the water leak happens at night, you and Justin will be
Yep.
up there with towels,
Yep.
soaking it up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's how it works.
That's what it takes.
It's exactly what it takes. But people don't see that. You saw that, didn't you?
What was
Like
it?
a piece of fuzz, but I caught it.
You got it? Look at that
Miyagi-san.
hand-eye
Yeah, Miyagi.
coordination. So, but it's the, and there's a term for that. I can't think of it
Balance.
right now. Not balance, actually, but we'll go with balance. It's like when people only see the end. It's
Yeah, well, I don't know what the term
there's
is.
a term. There's a term for this.
Misnomer. I think it's a
misnomer communication.
right.
Wait, what did you say earlier? Misnomer.
It's hoflation. But I think that again, we're all wired that way. Even people that have been through it and experienced it
Yeah.
and should know better. It's so easy to get focused on the things that you're attracted to.
Yes.
Which is why you can tie all that together with the attraction word.
Yes.
Which is why things like OnlyFans have taken off.
Yeah.
Which is why people only gravitate to the success of people.
Yeah.
You just don't even want yourself to see the work that goes into it and the struggle.
Yeah, because it is a struggle.
Right. But
because there's trash everywhere.
And
there's toilets everywhere.
And I think people have to love the process as much as they love the prize.
You do.
I think that's the key.
You
and for me, the process is the fun.
I think so too.
The prize is great, but I think especially once you've experienced a little bit of the prize, you realize how much fun the process was.
Yes. Like earlier this week, the fitness equipment was getting delivered for our new parent fitness workout area upstairs.
Which is a great idea, by the way.
Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate that. And when I was sitting there watching them bring it in, it was fully assembled already. So they're bringing it in on a forklift. I was like,
yeah,
my arms, forklift. And I'm standing up above, like on a catwalk, looking down in this 12,000 square foot building with 24-foot tall ceilings. So I'm like very far from this equipment. And all I can see is me sitting at my desk, the unending hours, because I almost went with a different brand. I almost went with a different company.
Really?
All the companies, all the salespeople I worked with, all the different layouts we looked at, and all the hours. I mean, there was probably 18 hours just in choosing that equipment.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
That is not going to be a major revenue producer for us.
Right.
But it was like in that moment, like I had my hand on it from the start to the finish.
And
now
here
it's
we
going to. Yes. And so I do agree with that. I think you have to love the process.
Right.
And I sat in one of the most stressful executive meetings probably about a month ago with my team. And I was like, this is all the shit that has to get done between now and October 1st.
Right.
And they're like looking at me and I've got it listed out and we're writing down who's responsible for what. And like we get done with the meeting and everyone's like still holding their breath. I go, and I love this, y'all. And they were like, look at me like I was kidding. And I was like, no, I'm actually serious.
Like crazy.
Like, I actually love this. Like I love.
They knew you weren't kidding. That's what alarmed them. Yeah, that's what was alarming. Yeah.
Like you're crazy.
Right.
But it's like all this to do, and I know it's going to get done. Like somehow we're going to pull all this off.
And you did.
And we did almost. We're almost there. But when this
you're going to pull it off.
Yeah. When this episode launches,
it'll be done.
Yeah, I will watch this episode back and be like, yep, see?
And the thing too is people forget this part.
Yes.
Like you're in the middle of it right now.
Yes.
So you're living in the thick, the emergency, it's all hands on board, go.
Yes.
You forget. And you forget until you get back into it.
But there is a unification in that as well.
I agree. I agree 100%.
One of my team members that used to be my son's pre-K teacher, I grabbed her for coffee this week. So she works day shift at the daycare, and then she comes back and works at night at the desk.
Wow.
We don't know why. We think she's crazy too.
Yeah.
But she really loves us. And so here we are. And she's a great employee. So work all you want, sister. Here we are. Get it. Get it.
We love her.
Yeah, we love her. She's good. Nobody's getting rid of Miss Melissa. So she asked me, she said, "You gonna be there Friday night?" And there was nothing in her voice asking me, "Are you going to be there?" Like she needed me to be there to checklist, whatever.
Right.
It was because it's like a team thing.
Yeah.
Like we're all showing up, getting gloves and getting dirty together.
Right.
It's a team
and
thing.
You're not going to miss it.
Yeah, no.
Right.
Like this is it. This is the moment we've been prepared for.
This is it. That's right. This is where we bring it all together. This is the fulfilling moment.
Yes.
And that's the other thing too. That is the prize.
Yes.
And the prize most of the time isn't as big a deal as what people think.
Yeah.
It's the whole process. The prize is only made special by the process, the years of work that goes into.
Yes.
Because even if your builder and getting all this pulled together only took 1 year, there was another year of planning and another year where you were going to do it somewhere else and another year where you had yeah, that's the part
that's so true. Because like we've been planning this expansion in one way or the other since 2017.
Yeah. So when you cut the ribbon to open the door next Monday, that's a 6-year
process.
Think about that. Right.
Right.
And people don't. And then because you forgot 2017 when you laid the facility out and it was somewhere else and then something happened, you had to move it over here. There's a million things that happen between here and there.
So true.
That have to get done, and any movement or any step that gets missed shakes up the whole deal and changes the whole outlook forever, not just today.
Yeah, so I had this is financially related. So I had a contractor that did a huge remodel at our building that was fabulous.
Yeah.
And he was going to build our new building for it. And we quickly realized at the beginning that the way the bank needed reporting done versus the way he wanted to run things was not going to match.
Not going to work.
And he's a great man. He did a great job on our remodel, but for this project, it wasn't going to work. So we had to find a new contractor.
Yep.
The red iron for the building was already ordered.
Oh, wow.
So I have no construction loan. I have no builder. And I have red iron getting delivered, and I need somewhere to sit it.
Yeah.
So not only did I have to borrow land to sit it on, because you can't sit it on your own land you're about to build on, because you got to build the pad and the dirt work to put the red iron up on.
Things nobody would ever know.
I had to write a check for the red iron.
Right.
Out of my bank. So that's 3 years.
Yeah.
By the time we finish this, that money has been sitting cash in the red iron and not earning interest.
Right.
Thank God I had it.
Yeah.
But like, what were we going to do? We had to pay for it. The red iron was here. So now I had to hire a contractor to put up red iron for a plan he didn't design to build a building that he's coming in on the middle of.
Right.
Yeah. So there's things.
Business is stressful.
Yeah. So when you think about all that, it's like, man, right?
And when you're running a business, nobody cares.
Nobody cares. They don't
because everything else has to keep functioning the way it's supposed to.
And thank God. And that's when you go back to earlier, what you talked about, surrounding yourself with a team financially, operationally. You got to surround yourself with the same thing.
It's all people.
It is all about the people. And we talked about this yesterday, and I don't think we were on camera when we talked about it, that you believe that relational capital is even more important than financial capital.
I personally do. I think if you surround yourself with the right team, you can accomplish anything.
I think so too.
Yep.
I totally do. You got any other thoughts you want to add before we wrap up the finance episode? This was fun.
Yeah. No,
we were a lot more focused on this episode, weren't we? Yeah.
We're on. Hey.
Bam. Beeline.
Because we're in the Christmas spirit.
Woo!
Right.
Woo! Ho, ho, ho.
We're on it.
Candy cane.
No, I think that's good. I think that was great.
Yeah, that was good. That
Perfect.
was good. All right. Until next time.
You've been listening to the Grit Crusade podcast with Brooke Plack. Our theme song is Thunder City by Lunar Ray, licensed through Soundstripe. This podcast was produced by Luminate Media Group. Thank you for listening, and we will see you on the next episode.